I began Mass today by having each of us ask ourselves, is my faith and life growing? This question comes right from the context of this gospel. So let's look at this gospel. Jesus' disciples just came from the experience of Jesus feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And now they're in a boat being tossed about by the waves caused by a violent storm. During this storm, Jesus' disciples saw Jesus walking on the water toward them. They first of all questioned, who is this? Then they became afraid. And then they believed. We all go through periods in our lives where we ask questions. We question things. Then we might feel anxiety or fear. And then it takes us to believe. We see this happening in today's gospel. Peter said to Jesus when he saw him on the water, "If it is you, Lord, command me to come to you." So Jesus says, "Come." So Peter got out, began to walk on the water. Then he saw how strong the wind was, and he became frightened and began to sink. And then Jesus caught him. And then they both got back into the boat. And all of them said to Jesus, "Truly, you are the Son of God." This whole process of asking questions, maybe becoming afraid, and then believing, is the process and growth of faith and life. So I'd like to stop and share a story how I experienced this process early on in my life. I was probably maybe about 4 or 5 at this time. There was 4 children in our family at the time, my sister Colleen and Rick, and then me and my sister Sharon. And I took on in my life the middle child syndrome. And very often I felt nobody loved me. They pay attention to the older ones, the Sharon, the baby. They forget all about me. Well, this one day, I had it. And I says, I'm leaving. So I grabbed my favorite blanket, my little red wagon I always played with, and down the driveway went. On the road, I was heading over to my grandma's house, 1.5 miles away. Well, I got probably 1/4 mile down the road, and 2 of our neighbors, George and Mary Pat Seiler, saw me, and they stopped and they says, "Tom, what are you doing?" And I said, "Those people over there, they don't love me anymore. I'm going to go and live with my grandma." And so they started talking to me, and I can't remember what our conversation was about. But they began to help me see that those people do love me. And then they took me back home. They dumped the water out of my wagon because it must have rained that night. And then they loaded it up and took me home. They helped me see that we all go through times of questioning. That we all go through times of being afraid. But it always leads us to belief. So I invite us to take this question home with us as we think about it this week. Is my faith and my life growing? Together, let us profess our faith in our God by praying together our Nicene Creed. I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial with the Father. Through him all